Hi, I'm Richard Morais, Senior Minister at Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center, and I want to thank you for visiting our website and for tuning in to today's message. If you feel inspired by today's talk, I really encourage you to make a donation by hitting that button below and making a contribution to this ministry. It'll allow us to continue these messages online and to do the great work we do here at Unity of Phoenix, which is to inspire people to live better lives. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for your support, and we hope to see you at a Sunday real soon.
All right, you ready to get going? So this summer, we've dedicated to a summer of love. And the reason that I wanted to do a summer of love is because I wanted to revisit spiritual principles around love. Because as a nation, we're probably the most divided we've been in a while. And I wanted to really come back to the points of love that allow us to build bridges, because it's actually relatively easy to be divided. Have you ever had a friend or a family member that you were divided against and from and ever felt separated and then wondered how to pull ourselves back together? There's a line that says, if a house is divided, it cannot stand. And as a nation, we have to really be conscious of how we're moving together, not separating further. And so what I wanted to do this summer was really teach spiritual principles about love. Because most of us give lip service to love, but it's hard to live love. It's hard to actually lead with love. Because your ego wants to do anything but that. Your ego wants to make sure that you're right or that you're safe or that you look good. And love really doesn't care about too much about that. Love just wants you to open your heart and lead with love and heal. So I've given you several principles that I'm going to give you a quick review on. So let's go to the first one. The first one we started is that I made you do a pinky swear the first week. Do you remember taking a pinky swear? I made you do a pinky swear that for that week and throughout the summer that you would not add conflict to the world. Right? So it's hard. I know. So how'd you do with that one? 50-50 or no, thumbs up. We're good, right? So I really want you to look at how easy it is to add conflict. How much does your ego love being right? Right? It does. Our ego loves being right. And for us to be right, guess what else has to be so? They have to be wrong. And it's not really much fun to be right if they're not wrong. And sometimes because they're not very bright, we have to tell them how wrong they are. And our ego loves that. We get to serve them. Like they're too stupid to know how wrong they are. So it is our job as a servant of God to help them. Right? So this summer I invited you to come back over and over again that I won't add conflict. That sometimes all my great ideas do not have to be voiced to all my friends and family. That not everybody on Facebook needs to know exactly what I think about everything, right? That I won't add conflict. The second one was that I would open my heart. And the idea with this one is really that love can't flow until your heart's open. That it really doesn't matter how many loving thoughts you think, until your heart is open, the infinite love of God isn't flowing. And so over and over again, when I've invited you into this series, is that you just open your heart and trust that love would flow, and that love flowing could actually heal and bless and restore every situation. And over again, is your heart open? And it's amazing to me how often our heart isn't open. That sometimes we can go days and even weeks until we've opened our heart and we go, wow. That we walk around in these little heads thinking that our heart is open, and then we actually shift down into our heart and open our heart, and then love actually begins to flow. And so the premise of everything is that love's not happening until your heart is open. And that it's a risk, it's a challenge to keep opening your heart. Especially when the other person, is in conflict with you. So then the third one, we said that we're going to see the greatness in you. That we're going to take some time to really see the greatness in the people around us. That our family members, people we work with, friends, neighbors, that we're really going to see the greatness in them. That we're going to see God in them. We're going to see the Christ in them. We're going to see the Buddha in them. That we're going to see the divine in them. That we're going to see that's within all people that is really special and holy and sacred. And then the next week we talked about accepting. That we were going to accept people as they are. And this is where it really begins to get vulnerable. If you really accept people as they are, it's like you have to get over your story. You have to get over your drama. You have to get over your judgment. Because sometimes we want to be the king or queen of the universe and tell exactly how everybody should behave. And when we really get into acceptance, it's like, oh, I really thought you should be different. I really wanted you to be different. And it's a big step when we can just say to someone, I accept you totally the way you are. I see you the way God sees you, whole and complete and lacking in nothing. And then the next week, we talked about staying full. That as a soul, that we have this infinite capacity to hold God, but that we can either stay full, and when we're full, we're overflowing. The love of God can just overflow into all of us. But when we're running on empty, we tend to be cranky and bitter and snarky. Snarky is a spiritual term. It's in the Old Testament, right? So the idea is, and then the illustration I used that Sunday was the only difference between a car that is full of gas and one that is empty, the only difference is how far it can go. Like when we're empty, we're always looking for the next hit. We're looking for the next person to acknowledge us or tell us we're okay. But when we're full, when we really look to God to fill our souls, then we can be generous of soul, generous of the heart, generous of the spirit. And then we talked about forgiveness. That we really can't talk about love without talking about forgiveness. That forgiveness is a requirement if we're going to live with an open heart. Because we're all going to make mistakes. It's just part of the life experience. We're going to make mistakes. And so we can hold on to the ledger and keep track and, really punish people for their mistakes, or we can just begin to forgive and release, and so that our heart gets to heal. So then we talked about forgiveness. And then last week we talked about words that uplift. And that words that are uplifting are words that build people up, that see the divine in them, that we're actually using words that make a difference to the people around us. And today what we're going to talk about is the idea of mastering love. Would you be willing to master love? Right? Now, okay, if that's true, if you'd be willing to master love, then you'd actually have to lead with love. Right? In every situation, you would lead with love. Now, what do you think the opposite of love is? How many of you want to vote for fear? I want to vote for safety. I believe that the opposite of love is safety, that every time we are committed to being safe, we're no longer in love and our ego is driving the bus. That every time when being safe is more important than being loving, we have created all kinds of ways to actually manipulate situations so that we feel safe. And we believe that being safe is 100% appropriate. But the master teacher, Jesus, taught us that the most important thing was love. And what he taught us over and over again was that love takes us to a vulnerable place. That if you're really going to be loving, it takes you to the most vulnerable place. And we hate being vulnerable. We would much rather be safe. Jesus spent 3 years with his disciples, and over again, what he was doing was teaching them how to go from an ego-centered reality, where the most important thing was being safe, to a situation where they would actually lead from love and lead from their place of vulnerability. When Jesus said, if a man asks for your shirt, give him your coat as well, is that a place of strength or a place of vulnerability? Vulnerability. You never know what they're going to ask for. When Jesus said, when a man asks you to walk 1 mile and then you walk 2 miles, is that from a place of strength or a place of vulnerability? It's vulnerable. Jesus sent his disciples out 2 by 2 to go out to the countryside and to heal the sick and to do the miracles that he was doing. And he sent them out without anything. He didn't hand them the plastic gold card and say, good luck, don't worry about it. I've got you covered. If you can't find a place to stay, don't worry about it. We've got the credit card. I'll give you an expense account, and you don't have to worry about it. Everything will be taken care of, right? Over and over again, Jesus asked his people, he demanded, if you will, to be vulnerable. And we so resist vulnerability as part of our spiritual life. We want to be in our spiritual life and feel strong and powerful. And so what I want you to see today is that that's all nice and well and good. But that's not love. Love takes us to the most vulnerable place and say, love right here, and see if you're safe right there. And the reality is, it works. But there's an incredible thing that happens within a soul when you go from living in a dominant ego place to living a spiritual place where you actually trust love, that you actually learn to master love. You actually learn to be safe in vulnerability, not because your ego's in control, not because you're the most powerful person in the room, not because you have the most money in the room, but because love is enough. I believe in the power of love. Will you say that with me? I believe in the power of love. In love, I am willing to be vulnerable. Will you say that with me? In love, I am willing to be vulnerable. Because what I want you to see is I know what I'm asking through this series is a lot. That your ego is over and over again not going to want to do it. Your egos want to go to the safe place, the place behind the walls, behind the facades, behind the place where you can build your little fortress so that you feel safe there. And over again, that's not what love does. Love says, get out. Go be with people. Go be vulnerable. Go actually interrelate with people with an open heart and see if love will prosper you, heal you, restore you. But not only you, but your family, the community, the world. Because if we keep trying to live our lives from this powerful, controlling, dominant place that allows us to feel safe, we can do it. But it's not love. We'll win, but nobody feels loved. We'll be safe, but we won't know people as our brothers. We'll know them because we dominated them, because we controlled them, because we scared them, not because they felt loved. Today, would you be willing to be more vulnerable to actually master love? To actually lead with love in the places in your life where you feel the most vulnerable? Could you actually trust love in your relationships with your friends and your family and at work? Because my experience over and over again is that if we master love, our families heal. In fact, what I believe to be so is that when you measure the quality of someone's life, it is in direct proportion to how well they love. That we can heal our families, but we can't heal our families through more control and manipulation. We can only heal our families through more love. That we can transform our careers through love. If you feel like your career is stuck, if you're not living the life that you want to be living, I invite you to love in a bigger way, to move your career forward by trusting that the power of love is going to open doors that you can't even imagine today. That love is the power that allows us to prosper and move forward in every direction. That love lifts up the brokenhearted. It restores our body, our minds, our souls, and most importantly, it calls forth the kingdom of God. That today we're ready for the kingdom of God. We're ready for a world that works for everybody. But we have to be the place where love works. So today I want to share with you 5 things that don't work. Have you ever noticed that sometimes knowing what doesn't work is as helpful as knowing what does work? Because sometimes we actually think things work, and we try them, and we try them, and try them, and there's a point after about the millionth time we try something, and we realize it just doesn't work. Have you ever been to Las Vegas? Now, newsflash, but legalized gaming is a system that isn't designed for you. Everybody knows that, right? That doesn't mean you can't win, but over the long run, you are going to lose. It's a no-win game, right? And many times when it comes to love, we're playing no-win games, well, thinking that this time it's going to win, right? And the problem is that occasionally we feel like we did win, so then we double down. Not that I've ever been to Vegas. It's kind of sounding like I know what I'm talking about, doesn't it? Not that I know what double down means or anything by that point, but right? A peek into my soul. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. 5 things. First one is, Lying never works. Will you say that with me? Lying never works. Now, what is lying? Lying is building yourself up or minimizing yourself so that other people will love you or like you. Have you ever washed your car to go on a date, and then you got into the relationship and you never washed your car again? That's lying, right? Lying is presenting yourself in such a way that it makes you look good because you're afraid if you don't do it, they won't love you or like you. And so we lie, we lie, we lie. But the problem is when you lie, when you overinflate yourself and you lie about who you are, so you present yourself and you're just, well, I'm just presenting myself in the best light. Well, you don't live that. You know? Have you ever taken somebody out to dinner or lunch in a place that you can't afford? Lie. Right? That's a lie. Right? So you want to look better, you want to look like a high roller, so you throw down your gold MasterCard that's now up about 99% of your credit limit, right? And you throw that card down and you act like a big spender, and you don't have that money. It's a lie. And we do it over and over again so that people will like us, approve of us, love us, but we never feel loved because we know it's not who we really are. If we want to build the world of love, we got to tell the truth, warts and all. We got to share who we really are so that people can see the real person and see if they can like and love the real person, not the story, not the facade, not the wall. And then we go to the other extreme. What's the opposite of lying? Somebody in the room's got to know the opposite of lying, right? The opposite of lying is telling the truth. God, never had to work that hard for something I thought was that obvious, right? It's telling the truth, right? And that telling the truth allows people to see us the way we are. Now, telling the truth is not when you say, now I'm going to tell you the truth. I heard an interview last night, and the person was interviewed for 20 minutes, and 20 minutes in, they say, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, what? 20 minutes in, we finally get the truth, right? And telling the truth is not where it's your opportunity then to take somebody else's inventory. Right? Telling the truth is not saying this is all the things that are wrong with you, but I just have to tell you the truth. Right? That's not it. Telling the truth is telling the story of you. Telling who you are, what you're going through, what your life feels like. Because we can never feel loved until we're willing to be more transparent, until we're willing to be more honest. We think, well, nobody really wants to know the problems I'm going through. Well, until you tell the truth, you never get to feel loved. You never really get to feel supported. And so we get so used to lying because we think we're broken or less than. And what I want you to see today is that telling the truth is a requirement to build communities of love. We got to tell the truth to each other so that we get to be loved right where we are. And the second one that doesn't work is attacking. It's kind of fun, right? But nobody really feels good when they get attacked, right? So attacking is using emotions or words or voice to inflict fear, concern, anxiety on somebody else so that we have control of the situation. Now, our ego loves attacking. We love to attack from our ego place because we feel powerful. How many of you have ever got a huge adrenaline rush from attacking somebody? Right? You feel so powerful, right? And then after a while you go, ugh, right? Because it's just kind of greasy, right? That when we're attacking people over and over again, we get this hit of feeling powerful, but we don't build bridges. People don't walk away feeling better. We don't even walk away feeling better. We just gave our ego a little spike of adrenaline, but that's all it really was. That when we attack, and sometimes we attack in really subtle ways. How many of you know that you're a subtle attacker? And what that means is that you can use sarcasm. You can roll your eyes. Any eye rollers here? Like you can give somebody a look and they know they're stupid just by your look. Right? That's an attack. It actually diminishes the people around us, and nobody walks away feeling loved when they're being attacked, no matter how outwardly or subtly they are attacked, they're still being attacked. And we really have to own it, how often we use attacks, how often we use our voice or our actions to really belittle or diminish the people around us so that they just back up. Third one I want you to see, another personal favorite, is acting like a victim. Now, kind of acting like a victim is kind of the opposite of attacking. Instead of a dominant place, acting like a victim is a passive response. But if you act like a victim, does the other person ever feel loved? If you go and tell them what a poor little pathetic thing you are, and they feel guilty for whatever's going on in your life, do either one of you feel loved in that moment? No. When we're a victim, we absolutely believe that because we've been victimized, then we can respond in whatever way we want. That 100% of the time, and I want you to hear this, 100% of the time, when we're angry, it's because we feel like a victim. Can I say that one more time? Because you don't believe me. 100% of the time. Did you hear me say that? 100% of the time, when we're angry, we feel like we're a victim. Just 100% of the time. Just every time. And I want you to watch it next time you're angry. And if you can really tell yourself the truth and go to that place where you're angry, you're going to find a place where you felt like a victim. And when you felt like a victim, you felt like you had a complete carte blanche license to respond any way you wanted. That over and over and over again, when we go to our victim place, we then can retaliate any way we want because we feel like they victimized us first. So that doesn't work. Does anybody feel more loved when they feel attacked or victimized or lied to? Anybody been lied to and walked away going, man, I feel so loved by that? Right? It doesn't work. Let me get two more. The fourth one I want to give you is the idea. Have you ever tried to cling on to someone to suck all their life force out of them? Have you ever had a friend or a family member, we even do it to our kids or our parents, where we so want to suck all the life force out of them, and so that we feel needy, we sometimes feel like a victim, but we're a Klingon. We're just clinging on to them. And have you ever been on the phone with a Klingon? You can feel the spiritual energy just being sucked out of your ear, right? And you can't hang up the phone fast enough. And then you have to go wash your ear because you know there's still goo in there from them trying to suck the life force right out through your head, right? And over again, what I want you to see is that when we're clinging, believing that somebody else is our source of joy, right? And the holidays, we're really good at this. Anybody have a family member that's a Klingon in the holiday? Well, I only got to spend 15 minutes with you. Where's my time? Well, you came and you didn't really spend enough time with me, right? Over and over again, we cling to these people thinking that they're our source of happiness because we don't really believe in the power of love. And the last one is running. Running is when we actually so don't believe in love that we remove ourselves from the situation instead of having to be in an uncomfortable situation. Running is when we actually physically, mentally, or emotionally remove ourselves because we don't believe that love can heal it, change it, prosper us, whatever it is. So what are the forms of running? Have you ever gone unconscious? Have you ever zombied out in front of TV or not dealt with a problem, a challenge, or whatever? And that's running. That's another form of running, right? So running is any way that we remove ourselves from a situation because we don't believe in love. And over again, what I want you to see is these 5 things really keep you from mastering love. Now, are the chances good that you're doing one or all of these 5 things at some point in your life? Yes, right? But the awareness of these 5 things actually begins to set us free. When you begin to notice that you're clinging or you're attacking or you're running or you're lying, the real information is, wow, I'm not as full as I really want to be. I'm really not trusting love right here because my behavior says that I'm acting scared and I'm trying to protect myself because I'm in my ego right now. But I want to actually shift out of my ego right here, right now, and open my heart in this situation, and I know that it's going to make me feel vulnerable. And I'm not sure in this situation if I open my heart all the way, if it will be enough, but I'm willing to give it a try. See, the three things over and over again that set us free is to tell the truth, be transparent, and be vulnerable. If you want to know how to master love, tell the truth, be transparent, and be vulnerable. Because when you're in your weak place, when you're in your vulnerable place, when you're in your transparent place, and love wins, you really get that love is the only power in your life. But when you solve it, fix it, change it from your ego, from controlling, from getting angry, from lying, from doing all your tricks, what you begin to do is feel more and more isolated, more and more alone. And I know that this is the toughest spiritual lesson there is. Almost every other lesson is easier than this one. But there's a point in your spiritual life where you decide that I want to master love. And I'm going to stop doing all the things that I've done, and I'm just going to trust love. I'm going to open my heart to the people around me, to my boss, to my kids, to my family, to my neighbors. I'm just going to open my heart and see if love is enough to transform my life. Because I've done it from my ego. I've done it from trying to feel safe, and it didn't work so well. I might have gotten out of this situation, but everybody felt beat up. It might have worked for a little bit, but it didn't really last, and it didn't really build long-term healthy relationships. Today, trust love. Trust love. I trust the power of love. Will you say that with me? I trust the power of love. In love, I really am safe. Together? In love, I really am safe. You want to pray with me? And I invite you to open your mind, your heart, your soul to the activity of God that is right here, right now. That we are one with the one. We are one with all that God is. And today we open our hearts all the way. Feel that. Open your hearts all the way. And all the times when you wanted to lie or attack or live like a victim or run or cling to something, we're going to just see if love is enough. We're going to open our hearts all the way and just see if love is enough. So in the name and through the power of the living Christ, we give thanks. And so it is. Amen. God bless you all. Have a wonderful summer. Thank you for being here.